Walsh is neck and neck.
She doesn't like you.
Huh?
She doesn't like you.
Can you tell? You know why she doesn't like me? Here's why. Because about 1.5 years ago, some very powerful people named Axelrod, Emanuel, and Durbin drew a perfect district to help elect Tammy Duckworth. And Tammy just thought, oh my gosh, this is the greatest. A district has been handed to me. I can just sort of glide into counties. A funny thing happened. I decided to enter this race, and 6, 7, 8, 9 months later now, this race is a dead heat. And she can't just believe she's entitled to a seat in Congress. She's going to have to earn it. And I think that's a great thing, and that's probably why she's not really happy with me. But I'm sure Rahm Emanuel's not happy with me. I know David Axelrod's not happy with me. I know what Dick Durbin would like to do to me. So this is a great thing. The second point I'm going to make is this. Come here, you. I go to bed every night, unable to sleep, with a migraine headache, exhausted. My youngest child is a senior in high school, and I am already missing half of his senior year. He had homecoming last weekend. I didn't see him last weekend. I ask myself every night, why am I putting myself through this? And this is why. This is why. Everybody in this room, Tammy Duckworth confirms every word I say. Everybody in your government, Republican and Democrat, is this close to delivering a country to her that we will never forgive ourselves for. We're placing so much debt on this beautiful head, and we don't seem to care about it. Where's my, do we have a piece of literature? Where's that walk piece? Don't you move. Why did I run? Again, why did I run the first time? It's simple. We said this on the front of my walk piece. I'm Joe Walsh. I'm running for Congress because I'm scared we're leaving our kids and our grandkids a country less free and less prosperous. You know what the most important words in that are? Number one, scared. I'm scared to death that we're leaving a country they'll never forgive us for. It's probably Senator Durbin saying Walsh is at it again. The second most important word in this is free. Unless we straighten things out, we're leaving a country less free for this generation. Shame on us. You have a government that doesn't pay its bills. We have a government that doesn't live within its means. We have a government that borrows. Come sit. Think about this. This is what drives me bonkers. So every day, and some of you have heard me say this before, every day your federal government wakes up, they get in their car, they drive down to their local bank, and they go to their local banker, and they borrow $4 billion that day. Every single day, your government borrows $4 billion. They go to their banker, and they fill out all the forms, and at the bottom of the form, the banker says naturally, well, excuse me, Mr. Government, how are you going to pay back this loan? And the government says, oh, don't worry about it. Future generations will pay that back. Don't worry about that. And so the government signs for the loan. Away they go. The sun comes up. The government goes back to the bank the next day and borrows another $4 billion. We do this every single day because your politicians haven't had the courage to live within their means. And here's something no politician's ever going to say to people, because we all want to get votes, right? We as a people have let this happen. It's so easy to blame your politicians. So easy, and they deserve a lot of the blame. But who sends them to Washington? Who sends them to Springfield? We have let this happen. You're getting a lot of exercise today. We, over the course of the last 40 to 50 to 60 years, have asked our government to do way too much for way too many of us. And unless we change that really quickly, there will be no government for her. Not even to do the very basics. Now, respectfully, President Obama doesn't get this. Tammy Duckworth doesn't get this. Let's be frank. As the Democratic Party is today, they believe in big government. They genuinely want people dependent upon government. That's their goal. They don't think about how much it's going to cost. They don't think about how much good or not so good these programs might be. They just want folks dependent upon government. And too many people in my generation and my kids' generation, that's the way they think. Government takes care of that. Do you remember when you were little? Do you remember when your parents were little? That wasn't Americans' first instinct. It was, my family takes care of that. My neighbor helps me. My church helps with that. I'm involved in my community. We've replaced all of that. Now right away we reflexively say government takes care of that. Well, you know what? You know what? We can't afford that. A, it's going to bankrupt the country. Secondly, more importantly, because we've asked government to do so much for so many of us over the years, our families aren't as strong. As individuals, we're not as strong. We're not as involved in our churches. Do you remember a day 50 or 60 years ago, if your neighbor lost his job, who helped that neighbor? A neighbor helped the neighbor. The church helped the neighbor. Government's replaced all of that. We are at a very, very tough point right now where we got to decide what country we're going to live in. We're not working, our economy's not growing, and we're broke. Think about that. We're not working. The next politician that says the unemployment rate is 7.8 or 8.2%, excuse me, pick up a French fry and throw it at me. Now I have to eat this. It's not 7.8 or 8.2%. It's closer to 15 to 19% of this country is unemployed. Because your silly government doesn't count people who become so discouraged they've stopped looking for work. We don't count them. We don't count people who are working part-time because they can't find full-time work. We don't count them. This country is so close to falling into another depression. Excuse me, another recession. You got to decide, folks. It's really easy. What makes this country go? Is it the people out here? The people that run businesses out here, small businesses, or is it that thing in Washington called government? You all decide. You know where I stand, you know where Romney stands, you know where Obama stands, and you know where Duckworth stands. The country needs to decide where we're going. And I got to tell you, this is what keeps me up at night. This is what keeps me up at night. Shame on this country, shame on our government for not thinking about that generation. Because we're about to deliver to them, oh my word, we're about to deliver to them a big old bill they can never pay back. It's like Medicare. A good, decent, worthy program like Medicare, we're about to lose in 8 to 10 years. It will disappear. It's bankrupt in about 8 to 10 years. If we don't change it, it's gone. There will be no Medicare for this generation. So what do you got Duckworth doing? What do you have Obama doing? Running around trying to scare senior citizens. Don't touch my Medicare. Shame on them. Shame on them. They know just like I know. If we don't touch Medicare, it's gone. Dick Durbin knows that. Dick Durbin knows that 10,000 Americans retire every day, and now we're living into our 90s. Dick Durbin knows this isn't sustainable unless we change it. But he doesn't say that publicly. Duckworth doesn't say that publicly. No, because all they want to do is get reelected, and they think if I just scare seniors, I'll get reelected. I refuse to do that. I'm not My be-all, end-all isn't to get reelected. My be-all, end-all is to just play my little part to help this country wake up so that there's a country to deliver to that generation. You decide. If you just want to vote for politicians who want to get elected, Joe Walsh is not your guy. Let's stop there. Respect every opinion in the room. Who wants to start? Who's got a question or a thought? Don't be bashful. Yes, sir.
Can you just address how they're going to resolve the tax-Mageddon fiscal cliff?
How are they going to resolve, how are we going to resolve tax-Mageddon, the big fiscal cliff? To paraphrase, every tax rate under the sun is really due to expire at the end of the year. The House Republicans have voted to extend the tax rates for everybody. President Obama has said, if you make $200,000 or more, I don't want to extend them. So right now, that's the big fight. If I had to guess, something's going to get resolved in the lame duck session. It's my hope that we extend them all. Can I promise you that that's going to happen? I can't. I'm of the opinion, and everybody knows what a lame duck session is, right? That's the time between the election and the end of the year when you have a lot of people in Washington, many of whom, didn't win their re-election, so you have an odd mix of elected officials who got to make a lot of important decisions. I generally believe that not a lot of good stuff happens in a lame duck session. But we have to let stuff happen in this one. We've got to extend these tax rates. Do I think we should extend them for a year? No. We should make them permanent. But that's just my opinion. So I hope and expect that we'll extend all of them for at least a year. I hope President Obama gives on that so that we don't raise taxes on small business owners. When it comes to sequestration, which is the other big one, if we don't act on sequestration, automatically $500 billion in defense cuts will kick in. Decimating, those are Leon Panetta's words, decimating our defense. My hope is that we will, well, my expectation is we'll probably put off sequestration for another year. Hey, this is no way to run a business, right? Washington extends things 6 months and a year at a time. No business works like that. People out here in the real world who run businesses, who try to grow businesses, who want to hire people and plan, Washington's driving them crazy because there's no permanency. Tell me what my tax rate is and then get out of the way. If I were running a business, that's what I'd want from Washington. We just don't seem to operate that way. Yes, sir. But I expect something to get done. Yes?
One of the things as a small business owner that is resolved in September, what we call audits.
Audits.
In other words, for all of us small business guys, small business owners, you have to look for insurance. You have to try to find it these days. It's hard to find. Rates 3-4 times over last year, and not one thing wrong with the credit rating over 800, and it's bloody scary. You can talk about taxes, but the insurance rates are silently killing small businesses.
And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse.
All insurance, just plain liability.
Yeah, everything, from health insurance to any kind of insurance. I'm constantly amazed by how most people in Washington, Republican and Democrat, they continue to think that they know better than people out here. They think they're smarter. It just amazes me. Do you remember last year when President Obama called a joint session of Congress to announce, it wasn't a State of the Union, it was, I think it was in August, he called a joint session of Congress to give us his 4th or 5th jobs plan.